So I want to show you how to take notes, or at least kind of sort of help you in taking notes, or in terms of outlines from the book. So what I'm going to do is not the only way to outline, but it's just one version of it. So when I look at the textbook, what I notice is, at least for the first reading assignment, which says, oh yeah, you should look at pages 2 to the top of 6, and you should probably pay attention to figure 1.4. When I skim through it, as I skim through it, what I notice is there's it says concept 1.1, then it says the themes of this book make connections across different areas of biology. As I keep scanning, there'll be a big header that says theme, new properties emerge at each level of the biological hierarchy. Underneath it, it says emergent properties, the power of limitations of reductionism, systems biology. And as I flip through, yeah, that's it. So when I make an outline, the generic pattern is Roman numeral 1, and that will turn out to be the main point, or the main topic. A would be a subpoint. A 1 would be something like either a fact or backup, or it could turn out to be another point. And then you can go to A with, facts and blah, blah, blah. So as I look at this, I can automatically start to make a generic outline where I could say the big idea would be, it says themes in this book come across as different parts, but that's just telling me here's where we're going. It says theme. New properties emerge at each level in the biological hierarchy. So we have new properties at each level of the hierarchy. That's an I. So then underneath it, you could read it. So the study of life extends from the macroscopic scale to molecules, blah, 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 blah. Right underneath it, it says emergent properties. So that I'm going to comment on. So for emergent properties, underneath it there are 2 paragraphs? So odds are I can get at least 2 points, 2 numbers. So as I read through it, let's see what we can gather from this. So we can now zoom back at the molecular level in figure 1.4. We can see novel properties emerge at each step, properties that are not present at the preceding level. These emergent properties are due to the arrangement of interactions of parts as complexity increases. For example, although photosynthesis occurs in an intact chloroplast, it will not take place in a disorganized test tube mixture of chlorophyll and other chloroplast molecules. Photosynthesis requires a specific example of these molecules in the chloroplast. To take another example, if a blow to the head disrupts the intricate structure of the human brain, the mind will cease to function properly even though all the brain tissues are still there. Our thoughts and memories are emergent properties of a complex network of nerve cells. At a much higher level of biological organization, at the ecosystem level, the recycling of chemical elements essential to life, such as carbon, depend on a network of diverse organisms interacting with each other and with the soil, water, and air. So what we get is, at least we could say, a definition as I read through it. I know that, somewhere within here I'm going to have some terms, or at least some ideas. Emergent property is defined as novel properties not in previous, they called them levels. I'm going to put an example, photosynthesis in a chloroplast. B, example, they made reference to memories in brain. 2, next paragraph. Because I don't need to give all the examples, but hey, it's good enough that if I were curious, what are emergent properties? I have a definition, I have some examples. The next paragraph. Emergent properties are not unique to life. A box of bicycle parts won't take you anywhere, but if they are arranged in a certain way, you can pedal to your chosen destination. And while the graphite and pencil, quote, lead, unquote, and the diamond of a wedding ring are both pure carbon, they both have have very different appearances and properties due to the different arrangements of their carbon atoms. Both of these examples point out the importance of arrangement. Compared to such non-living examples, however, the unrivaled complexity of biological systems makes the emergent properties of life especially challenging to study. So I can say, too, the big point of that paragraph was it's not unique to life. And then I can move on to B, which is reductionism. So I could comment about that. I could even comment about systems biology, which is the last one. But then, and that'll take you to the end of probably the reading because it keeps on going, and odds are it's pages 2 to 6 seems to trap that one section, even though on page 6 you can see that there are 2 other themes, but they didn't seem to continue through. But when I look at figure 1.4, it has a whole bunch of stuff. So what I could even put down here, if I wanted to add a drawing, would be levels of organization. They have it going from biosphere to molecule, so probably big to small. So what I could probably write is something like biosphere is bigger than ecosystems, which is bigger than communities, bigger than populations, bigger than organisms, bigger than, and you can keep going. Or you could sit there and say things like molecules lead to organelles, which lead to cells, which lead to tissues, which leads to organs, which leads to blah, blah, blah. So you could do that. Or what you could even do, I suppose, would be you can make the biggest of all our options, which would be saying like the biosphere, and you could have in it, a subsection of it would be ecosystems. And then within that, you have a subsection that would be communities. And then within that, you could have a portion that's populations. And then in that, you could have organisms. And then within that, and you could have a graphical version of figure 1.4 if you so choose to write it down. I suppose you could just have words, but I don't know, maybe a picture would be better. But this is the process that you would go through in terms of outlining. If you notice, it's nothing that I'm rushing. I'm not trying to get through this as fast as possible. And the reason for that is you're reading to comprehend. You're not reading to take notes. I did not copy down everything I saw. I took two quasi-big paragraphs, and I condensed them into, what? 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. Which means I'm not going to be able to rush this. But if you do this right, coupled with notes in class, and then going through and annotating by adding your questions off to the side, and then adding a summary at the end, especially if your summary would be for a 5-year-old, you should actually start to gather what's going on because it's multiple exposures.